Okay, now what I'm going to do is look at the charts and see if I can make sense of what's being displayed. This is a meta, and let's clear everything out so it's already clear. So I'm looking at it. It looks like it looks like the VWAP is here. VWAP is trading, and that's the previous day's high, and this is the previous day's low. And this is the open and the close, I think here. What is this? What's the signal? Okay, a previous day's close. That's what it is. And what is that? That's previous. What is this one here? So if I look at here, if I look at this. So I'm looking at this right here. So essentially, what is that depicting? That's the open, it looks like. That's the open for today, the day. And that's the previous day's high. And that's the previous day's low. Previous day's high, previous day's low, previous day's close. And that's the day's open, right? So that's how it works. Previous day's low, previous day's high, that's today's low. So it started on the high side. It started on, initially it dipped and then started going up on these big candles. Usually these big candles lead to the fact that it is moving up. Okay, that's what it means. It's showing that it's bullish. It is also an indication here at about 8 o'clock. So then there's a red candle with a big red candle here and here, which represents that it is in a bearish trend. So from here to here, it is bearish. Okay, so if I were to so that's what it's saying, that it is exhibiting a trend to the downside here, and this green candle is breaking, that green candle is breaking the trend there, right there. Okay, it's breaking this trend. It's respecting the previous day's high as it bounced 2, 3, and 4 until it finally broke through. So, so what's happening is very, very interesting. It goes up to a high here. Okay. So if I look all the way out there, and I want to make it as fat as possible, we'll make it a 5, okay? And then we'll give it a color of, I want to see why did it stop there? Does it have any correlation? Let's look at it. Let's expand it out, okay? 5 minute. I'm looking at it. I'm not seeing anything that is breaching. Let's go to the 90-day. So it goes all the way up to this point. And it's saying at this point, it reached this level here, which is representing a resistance right there, all the way out there to that resistance. So we're talking about several days of tracing back. That's where it stopped. Okay, that's what it's saying right there. Based on that, it's saying that this is the resistance right there. Okay, so that's where things are. So if I look here, it is essentially in a downtrend. It is in a downtrend. And what's happening is that it respects it here, bounce off of here. It bounces off of here. So essentially, this is the previous day's high. So it's attempting to bounce off of that support. That's support right there. That is support, and it is actually also attracting it. It's also attracting. I need to drink some water. So what it's doing is that, okay, so right here, what it did was it bounced off. It respected it. But if I look at the QQQ, okay, let's take a look at the QQQ. And if I look at the QQQ, it is essentially here, and it is dropping. It is dropping, okay? It looked at the open. This is the open, and it respected the open a little bit. So it respected the open for a little bit, but it was still going down. Okay, so if I look at it, for a 1 minute chart, essentially what it was doing is it went up and it decided, okay, that's enough here. Let me see here. Is there anything that correlates with this? Nothing too much, because it must be something that is something must be controlling it somehow from here. Okay. So initially I can see that this would have been a clue to what was going to happen. And what it did was this level right here was some sort of a support. And this was resistance at this point. Because this is initially essentially what this is telling me, that some other stock is controlling the QQQ. Because it's made up of multiple different stocks. So this in itself is essentially, wait a minute, comp. I think it's comp, isn't it? Indices, it's going to be comp, right? So I need to look at the comp, not the QQQ. I need to look at the comp, because it is a comp right here. So if I look at this, so right here, it's the open. It's hugging the open, and then started to down, and this became the previous day's. What is that? So that's previous day's high. That's previous day's close. So the previous day's close was being respected. Look at that. It's respected. So so here I should have seen a signature of what's happening here. If I look at the comp, which represents the Nasdaq composite, it's essentially flagging that it's actually bearish at this point. It goes up and then it starts going down. So this was actually being painted in the market. And so when I looked at the meta, so when I look at meta here, I'm looking at the meta now, right? So when it does this, it goes below this low of the day on this side. It's clearly specifying a downward trajectory. When it respected the previous day's high, that's the previous day high. That's the open. That's the open line. This is the open line. This is the previous day's high, and then it bounced off one here. Okay, it bounced off one. So that's going to be S1, okay? First, okay? So S1, Okay, and then 1. Okay, that's 1, 1. Okay, that's what I'm looking at. And then duplicate, and I would put it right there, which is essentially right there. It's the same support, but it hit it twice. Now it's going to be hit one more time. It's going to hit one more time right there. Okay, it's going to hit right there. Okay, it's going to hit 1, 2, 3, and then finally it broke through. It broke through right here. Okay, when it broke through here, right there, it broke through. Okay, it broke through right there. It broke through. That means that the support was compromised, which means that there would be further downside. And then it attempted to change course based on this right here. There's a double bottom here. It attempted to reach whatever this line is, which is essentially 100-day 100-day average. Okay, 100 point average. So this is the averages that I have. Okay, what's this one? This one is 100. Is this 100? That is 100. That is the 50. That's the 20. And that's the 9-day. Okay. So when I look at this, it is exhibiting. It is attempting to hit the resistance here and here with the 100-day moving average, and then it started to dip further. And the previous day close had zero impact on the trade, and the previous day's low and open essentially wasn't much of a factor at this point. It must be some sort of a there must be some sort of a resistance here. So it landed here, and if I draw it all the way across, and if I set it to about 5 and change this color to white. Okay, so I have this. Let's see if I can extrapolate it all the way out to wherever it is. So essentially this was the support all the way back across from here. That's where it hit for this stock. That's where it hit. This is the support from 1 here, 2, 3, 1 here, 2 here, and that's essentially it. And right there too, right? Right here is the point. Right here. This is the area of interest right here at this point. And right there. Okay, I'm looking at it. And as far as everything else, it's actually just noise bouncing off of this support line right there until it closed. And so if I look at this, if I were to look at this particular situation where there's people are buying, I can see that there was a green candle and it popped up for a few points. I could have taken that point off. So I need to be looking at this chart when I make a trade. I need to be looking at this chart, and when I look at this here, I should be able to make a conclusion about, I should be able to make conclusions about these things here. 1, 2, 3. Bounce 1, 2, 3. When it went back there, and when it rips through the support line, it means it's got more ways to go. Okay, that's what it means. That's the way that I should be trading this. Okay, this is essentially a 1-minute candle, and I should be able to see this so essentially there's a lot of points where certain support and resistance exists within intraday for me to look at to make the right trades. And so that's what's happening here. And I could have made, so if I extrapolate this out to be 304.70, and this is going to be 302. So that's approximately about a dollar 70 a turn here, a drop of about $1.70 that I can taken advantage of right here. So if I look at here, it goes sideways. I say to myself that it's going sideways here, and then it broke through. Okay, it broke through this area of interest. So that's what I need to be looking at. It broke through the area here. So when it broke through the low of this low, I should be looking for a put at a certain point. Okay, that's what I need to be looking at. And when I see this, and it was respecting this support right there, that's another support right there. Okay, so that would be S2. That's going to be S2, 1. Okay, and then I need to change that color. And then right here, it bounced off again. Okay, and I'll call it. And then here, call it here. Bounce off of there. 1, 2, 3. And then right here, it's clearly, the support is clearly being respected right here. That's what it's doing. When I look at this, I'm looking at it. When I'm trading, when these candles are formed, I mean, when I'm looking at this, it's hard to see what's really happening when it starts to. Okay, so let's say the day starts, green candle here. It's clearly showing some signs that it is going up, and then as it hits this particular area, okay, it's hitting this particular area, and this red candle should tell me at this point that it is reversing. And when it is reversing, and then I look at this a little bit more, this reversal has some leg to it, okay? So it goes below the VWAP, which means that it probably has further downside. And this goes down and down and down. And then when I see a significant, that could have been a significant change as well. So I see it on a bullish market, and then it started to reverse. And when it drops below this, that could also mean that stock has further ways to go down. So it bounces off. That means that on the first bounce, I should correlate that movement. With the support on this previous day's high. Okay? All right, so that's the open, that's previous day's high, and that's previous day's close. And it's essentially attempting to bounce above the previous day's close. High, the previous day's high, and then it bounces off on the first support and then moves sideways, but it is a lower high in this case, which means that it's a wedge. It's a wedge that's being formed. So this is a wedge. So if I look here, and I want to draw a picture of this, essentially it's a wedge. So if I look here, it's painting a wedge to here, okay? And if I look at it, from here to here, okay? And if I look here, right, edit. And if I do red, and if I do right here, and then if I look at here, it's actually lower highs, but it is still keeping the support. It means that the buyers are unable to push this higher, so it has a bearish condition. It is bearish. And then when it punches through, it's going to keep going down. That's what it means. So when it goes down, the movement here, that should have been a clue what it was doing. Soon as it painted this red candle, it was possible for me to buy a put. And then, and then it has a high probability it's going to dip. Even if it came back, it would touch this and it would still go back. That's the trend it has because it is respecting this resistance. It is supporting it is it is supporting the resistance right here. So if I look at it, wow, these things are making sense now. R1, 1. Okay, that's R1 right there. That's the R1 line right there. So we're looking at a big fat resistance right there. You see, that's resistance. That is resistance right there. Let's change that color to this guy right there. That's resistance. This is the actual studying that I'm doing, and it's starting to make sense. And so when it dips, the low point is when it reaches this support line, which is based on confirmed by the second touchdown on this resistance right here, which is essentially from 304.6 from here, 302. So that's approximately about a $2 move. That's a $2 move all the way here. Okay, a $1.50 move. Almost $2 move. So I'm looking at it, I'm looking at this situation here, moving up, moving down. There's red candles. That red candle attempted to bring it down, but it started to come back up. That's strong. And then there was one red here. That's difficult to do because it seems to be suggesting that this is a double bottom right there. And sure enough, it did, but it failed. Okay, that was actually a wedge right there. Look, that's a wedge formation right here. So essentially, this was an elongated wedge, okay? Because it looked like essentially right there. So if I look at this, if I look at the situation, it's a wedge. That's a wedge that's broadening, which means so it goes down, the buyers are going up, and then the sellers push it down, supported, and then the buyers buy it up, and then the bears try to bring it down, but the buyers come in and start buying, and then when it started to fail, right about here, I mean that seems to be suggesting that, I mean, as soon as it failed that, right there, right? As soon as it failed that, that's a wedge right here. As soon as it failed and hit the support and started going back up. So what is that saying? What is that saying to me? Okay, so the buyers come in, it reaches here, sellers try to sell, but there's a strong support, so it goes up. So the buyers are stronger than the sellers, then it comes back. Sellers come in right there with strong emphasis on selling, but the volume is consistent, and then it started to go back up, which means that it's bullish for now. And it goes up. Sellers try to bring it down again, but it's bought back up again. And then finally it started to fail. So when I see this particular situation, it's a reversed it's a reversed it's a what is that? It's a reverse. That seems to be a pennant. Okay, so what would I call this? This formulation, this triangular formation. That's so I'm looking at the structure now. I'm looking at the structure, and this is a triangle right there. Okay, just like that, and just like that right there. So this is telling me that the sellers are winning out. That's what it's saying. It's saying here, it's saying the buyers are winning. Buyers are winning up to this point, and then it started to decline. Sellers are winning, and which sure enough it did. And then there seems to be a major trend reversal here up to this point. And the fact that it is dipping all the way down here. So how do I make sense of that? I have to figure that out. This makes sense. This makes sense. There's buyers, but the sellers are in control. So it has a higher propensity to drop. Now this one is expanding. It's expanding, like small here, buyer here, sellers here. So what does that mean? That means that there is it's opening up. It's essentially opening up. That thing is opening up. The trades are opening up. And that is something that I need to write down about, okay? So there's this type of a candlestick formation. There's this type of candlestick formation that I need to be aware of. And so that's what it looks like. So I have to be familiar with these two types that I need to look at, okay? So as soon as it fell through here, this line right there, as soon as it filled, it attempted to come back, but that's when it started to drop. This is a major section here. This is a major section that I could take advantage of right here. I mean, this drop right here from here is a major point where I could essentially take a major I could take some serious gains just on this particular section right here. Okay, and so when I look at this situation here, as soon as it dropped through this, as soon as it dropped to this support, okay, it's saying that it's going to go down, and the support of previous day's high, actually previous day's close. This is the previous day's close. It broke through without much fanfare, and it started to go down, and then there was a support that's created here on a momentary basis across here. And then this became a strong support throughout the day. It must be the ATR for that day. And this is a Friday. And so these options expire must have been a part of the reason why. So if I look at this, and the other part here are just some noise. These are just noise. It's just floating around. So that's how I read this chart, and I'm going to keep repeating this over and over again. Okay.